Anna, say I'm hot and don't bother me. See, I really dressed up for the occasion. Hey, Anna.
Ma'am, I gotta get you out.
slow it down. Fine. I want to welcome all of our visiting friends today, and I surely will not try to mention everyone because I'll be sure to miss someone. But you're here today, and we're glad that you are here. And we will make some announcements regarding the services this evening. At 5 o'clock, we'll have our young people service, and then tonight is to be a special time at our 6:30 service. This will be Caravan Night. Caravan children will be receiving their awards, and we'll be honoring them, and we want you to be here for that service. And we want to remind you of the Vacation Bible School that will begin after the camp meeting. We'll be at the Monday following the camp in June. It'll be from 6:30 in the evening to 8:30. Ages from, what's those ages, the little ones, 2 to 4th grade, something like that. So we want you to support our Vacation Bible School director and her work that she's doing. And the camp meeting will begin Tuesday night, 7 o'clock. Visiting with us today, and we have relatives of Mary Harper and relatives of Jerry Harper. Some of my relatives are here again. I think maybe some of you may be here for the very first time. I'm not sure. We welcome you. We have a saying among Nazarenes, you're only a visitor the first time you come. After that, you become our friend, and you should feel at home. And most of you know our district superintendent. Most of you know Sister West and Little Austin is here. You haven't met Little Austin. He's the live wire. He's in the nursery. He's a fine little fellow. We can't introduce him, but we always hear John Parker. years ago, we had Mary and John came to our church. We had a broken down organ that could be repaired, but it was needed to be repaired more and more, and costed more and more. So we had to junk it, and John and Mary donated this nice organ to the church. We've been using it for a number of years now. And then at the death of John, the family wanted to do something in his memory. They knew how our piano was getting to that stage where it needed to be replaced, and they gave the money. They and their friends, and some of you, I gave something on it, some of you gave something on it, but the main part of the contributions to this beautiful piano that we enjoy today and the last few months, these instruments are now going to be dedicated in memory and honor of John Parker and his family. Brother West, our history benefits this morning, and he's going to take charge now to dedicate these instruments.
Real joy to be here on this special occasion today and to take part in the dedication of these instruments, these musical instruments, to the memory of John Parker and to the glory of God. It almost seems out of place to dedicate an organ and piano to John, because he would be sitting quietly back there in the background, not wanting to be up front, singing the herd, just doing his part and always being there. But really, in another way, it's most appropriate to dedicate them to John. For the years that I knew John, his life was a quiet testimony to God in the most beautiful way. And the music that comes from these instruments, the organ and the piano, I think will ascend to heaven as a sweet aroma and a memory of John Parker. Instruments have been used for thousands of years in the worship of God. One of the scriptures found in the Old Testament in 2 Samuel, the 6th chapter and the 5th verse, says that David and all the house of Israel played before the Lord on all manner of instruments, made of fir, even on harps and on psalteries and on timbrels and on cornets and on cymbals. So for thousands of years, the followers of Jehovah God have been worshiping him, accompanied the music from beautiful instruments. And I thought that as I prepared my own mind and heart for this, of all the messages that would be sung and played on these instruments, you know, the sinner will hear the invitation, just as I am without one plea, that thy blood was shed for me, O Lamb of God, I come. And they'll sing once again the testimony that on a hill far away stood an old rugged cross, the emblem of suffering and shame. And they'll play the testimony of those that have been born again and been washed in the blood. Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. I once was lost, but now I'm found, was blind, but now I see. And the closer they get to God, the more glorious they'll realize their experience is. And the more they look around and see God's creation, the more they'll stand in awe of what God has done. And I thought it'd be most appropriate if you and I joined in the act of dedication by singing a verse or two as it's played on these instruments, the organ of this beautiful piano. How great thou art, O Lord my God, when I in awesome love consider all the words thine hands have made. So let's stand and let's sing it together as our act of dedication, and then we'll pray a prayer dedicating these instruments to God for his glory and for their name. John Harper, Mary, would you come?
That's page number 5 in the hymn book. And let's sing the first and third verses, verses 1 and 3.
Missionary Society and our missionary president will now come and present something for this special occasion.
It's certainly very wonderful to look over the congregation and see so many family members present and those that we're honoring today. And we have 2 memorial roll certificates to present. Life itself is termed a journey, which we travel day by day. Within its grasp are joys and sorrows, each we meet along the way. If life's road held only sunshine, if there were no darker views, we could only speak as theory when we say, he'll stand by you. Mountain peaks would lose their glamour if no valleys were our lot. We would never know of victory if there were no battles fought. But we know along life's pathway there are burdens we must bear. We find grief and disappointment. There are heartaches that we share. We find there are days of parting when our hearts are made to bleed, when earth's precious ties are severed, when for comfort we must flee. For these times the Lord is able, grace and solace he bestows. He'll be there to walk beside us, every tear that falls, he knows. We come today to pay due homage to some who've gone before, who have made the voyage to Zion, made the landing on that shore. Crosses now are left behind them, they exchanged them for a crown. There with him who walked beside them, they have laid their burdens down. They find there no tears of parting, they find there no sad farewell, no heartache invade that city, where they with the Savior dwell. Let's look up today and praise him, Christ the Lord, our hope and stay. Thank him for that great tomorrow, for the joy we have today. Thank him for that day out yonder when we lay our burdens down, when we cross the river Jordan, then we too receive a crown. Trainers only in recent years after he retired and came to our church. Really special part of our service today. And it's to honor 2 of our people that, thank the Lord, are still with us. And this is Mary Jane and Jerry. So John David, if you will bring Mary Jane up here. Jerry, can you sit up here by yourself?
I knew so.
to do this, and then I wanted to do it last year, we just didn't seem to get around to it, and so I thought we're going to start the church year off right, and just take care of this at the beginning of the year. And so there was nothing better, a way to, camouflage or disguise or whatever, than to have extra dedications and memorial roll presentations, and they were none the wiser. And they just knew that Mary Jane was saying, now, next Sunday we have dinner on the ranch. They had no idea she was one of the honorees. So we have worked so hard, and I want to tell each of you how much I appreciate you keeping your lips sealed on this. And I had sent out letters to various family members inviting them today, and I put in big capital letters, it is a secret. And so they did a good job. Look from the two. So, and I've had some nice conversations with your children over the phone, and so often I was almost tempted to tell you that I talked to them, but I remembered it was a secret. So today is a very special day for all of us, because we're honoring two very special people, Jerry and Mary Jane Larpenter, with the Distinguished Service Award. This is the highest award of recognition that the Church of the Nazarene bestows upon anybody. And Jerry and Mary Jane are truly deserving of it. We are truly delighted to have a number of their relatives with us today to celebrate this occasion. I would like for all of the people that are connected with the Larpenters to stand. We have Mary Jane's mother and dad, and her sister Peggy, and her brother Carol, all the way in the back. We have her sister-in-law Betty, and then of course Beth and Eddie and little Hannah. And then Jerry has a sister Merle and her husband Joe, and Jenny and Juliet, his married brother, and his wife Juliet, and Jean, his twin, and her husband Raymond. And then this is the sister-in-law, and I have met you before, but I don't remember her name. Bernice. It is so good you can come. I'm delighted to have you here today. So you may be seated. We're glad that you can be here today. And of course, like I said, Beth and Eddie and Hannah. Jerry was born to Mr. and Miss Gilbert Larpenter. He is a twin, as I said, Jean is twin, and one of a total of 11 children. Am I correct? Mary Jane was born to Mr. and Miss Rufus Matthews, which makes her my cousin. She is one of 5 children. Mary Jane and Jerry met as young people at the Louisiana District Camp meeting. They were married August 28, 1951, and went out on an adventure of life together. And of course, we all know they have 4 wonderful children, all of which are serving the Lord. One doesn't have to be around them long to know which one is outgoing and which one is quiet. Jerry surely isn't the quiet one. A more friendly person can't be found than Jerry, nor a more sweet and dedicated one than Jerry. This is not in my notes, but I'm going to add it. I remember the first time I ever saw Jerry. I was just a youngster. And we used to, when I was a kid, we had zone rallies. And, we'd go to church on the zone, watch the night, and have the zone rallies. So my great uncle, Clarence Stewart, had a school bus. And we'd all pile on that school bus, and we'd come to Natchez, and we'd go to Leesville, and everywhere else with these zone rallies. And we went to Friendship one night. And Mary Jane and Jerry, I guess, must have been visiting Melvine and Rufus. And it was in the old Friendship Church, so you know I was out here. For that church been there a long time. But anyway, we were all getting on the bus, getting ready to leave to go back home, and Jerry was just like this. He was just talking and smiling and carrying on, and so when the school bus was backing out, and Jerry was walking along the side of the bus, talking to and just talking and picking at us kids, And so later I asked Mom, I said, who was that man? And she said, well, that's Melvine, his son-in-law. I said, isn't he the friendliest thing? So that was my first first time I ever saw Jerry. And then it was years before I saw him again. Then when we moved to Natchez, lo and behold, They started out their adventure of life in New Orleans, where Jerry worked for an airline and Mary Jane was a housewife. In a few years, they moved to Natchitoches, where Jerry worked for the U.S. Postal Service. He worked there until his retirement. Mary Jane continued her role as wife, mother, and homemaker, venturing out into the work world for a while after her children were grown. They have been very active and a very vital part of this local church for more than 30 years. They have seen some bad times and some good times, but no matter what the times were, they remain faithful and true, never wavering, never shirking their duty and responsibility. Their faith has been strong and their steps steady, always setting a solid Christian example for their children and teaching them the way of righteousness and godliness. I've spent a great deal of time around them in the past 21 and a half years, and never once have I heard them speak or act out of Christian character. They can be counted on to be at church every time the door is open, unless sick, which is seldom, or out of town. Every pastor wishes for a church full of Jerry's and Mary Jane's. They each have served the church in numerous capacities over the years and always have done a good job. Jerry was church treasurer for many years, only recently retiring from that job. Mary Jane loves children and is loved by children. So much so that on that last part, that the nursery children will hardly stay with anyone else. They will, but only after a fight. Both of them are very talented and creative, and they use their abilities for the Lord, both in the church and out of the church, for their family, neighbors, friends, the sick, anyone they can help. They are generous, very generous. Generous with their money as well as their time and talents. They can be counted on to support the work of the church, God's work. They have been wonderful and loving parents as their children are living testimonies to that fact. And I have a letter from Carol that I'm going to read. Dear Mother and Daddy, it goes without saying that I would have much rather be speaking to you in person, but since I can't be with you today, I have asked Mary Lou to read my thoughts to you. Congratulations on your receiving this Distinguished Service Award. I know that you are probably somewhat embarrassed by being in the limelight, but it gives all of us who love and appreciate you a chance to tell you so. I love you for so many reasons. Uppermost is for your life as Christians and your service to the Lord. Growing up in your home, I witnessed your sacrifices of time and money. We kids felt that there was no task so humble that it couldn't be done for God's glory. Even when we cleaned the church or rewashed battle-scarred styrofoam cups at the end of Bible school. You taught us to be proud of our role in the Lord's work. You taught us the rewards of Christian fellowship and led us to Christ through your example. Through your deep love and respect for one another, we saw that marriage could be harmonious and successful. You accepted our choices for marriage as you very own children. You taught us that an education was to be cherished and let us know that you supported those who taught us. I appreciate your patience with me when I volunteered your talents for so many taskings. I thought that there was nothing that you couldn't do, and you never disappointed me. I feel blessed to be your daughter. I love you with all my heart. Love, Carol. I have a letter from Randy. What a special day this is. I only wish I could be there with you to help you celebrate this special occasion. Today, we are honoring two very special people. I believe they are special because of how they have let the Lord Jesus live in them and work through them. The church is honoring these people not for what they have done for the church, but for what they have done through the church. My parents' love for God's work made an indelible impression upon my life. I can still remember Mom walking Carol and myself to church on 5th Street. I guess that was in New Orleans. When Dad was having to work at church time, I guess. Visitors who came to the house at service time had the regular basis while saying how God had blessed them. My parents never talked the church down to us kids. If we found out something, it was on our own. Their high regard for the ministry opened that door for me. There were times when I saw Dad giving out money and food to folks that had a need that others had no idea of. Well, this still goes on, and I've heard more than once, our witness means more than the money. I'm still having problems with them waiting for the spring Sunday school contest to come to a close before coming to see their first ring. But I wouldn't mention that one. Today I'm thankful most of all for my parents modeling the Christian life in such a way that I had to have this wonderful life that they have enjoyed so much. I stand on their shoulders. My ministry is an extension of their lives. Mom and Dad, thank you for helping me to taste and see that the Lord is good. May you continue on to walk with our Lord and share the good news with others until He comes. Your loving son, Randy. Greetings from tropical Amarillo, Texas. I was pleased to receive your letter that he sent to me, as I'm reading it, and especially happy to hear that Mom and Dad were chosen for the Distinguished Service Award. I was mistaken. I thought those awards were given to old people or the deceased. I'm glad y'all made an exception for my parents. From my earliest memories, I was taught what service to the Lord was by the example of two humble servants. I remember Mom offering encouragement, cheer, and shaking down pound cake at the dying bed of dear old Sister Hophouse in that big old two-story house, while me and Beth tugged impatiently at her dress, and Dad making 2 trips to church on Sunday morning. First trip for his riders, and then back home to get Mama and us burrowheads. Then there was always a building project going on when us kids were ready to go swimming in the lake. You would always spot Dad with a mouthful of nails and a shiner or two on his forehead. Mom was always around with a broom in hand and a smile on her face when I thought she should be at home doing more feminine things. You'll have to pardon my sentiment, but if ever an angel descended to earth, it was my mama. And if ever a Trojan of the faith smashed the thumbnail building the kingdom, it was my dad. Last Sunday morning, I got to church early to drive one of the bus routes before running the sound system for the early service. After teaching the teen Sunday school class, I took the bus kids back home. I never could understand why Mom and Dad took Sunday naps. Thank the Lord. Thank the Lord for thank the Lord for the example of authentic service that my mom and dad gave us. And thanks to my church family for recognizing them with this special award, love. And Beth is here, so Beth gets to speak her words.
Almost scared Mary. I was quite hurt when she wrote me a letter. I was quite hurt after I found out that I was the only one that got this instruction to keep the 3 minutes. She knows that's impossible. Too much like my dad.
Amen.
Well, I've written down my thoughts, but I'll probably stray from them from time to time. What can I say that will express my feelings for you? Thank you. I love you. My earliest memories of going to church was about the age of 4. Mother always had a battle getting us all there on time. And I'm finding that to be true with one. I don't know how she did it with 4. But my earliest memories, Mother would have us all dressed in my shoes and socks on, and we had that old blue cone that we got after the wreck. And by the time we get to St. Denis Street, my shoes and socks would be off, and Mother would try to be reaching over the seat to get them back on. And I remember one time asking, why do we have to go to church today? And I can't remember what your response was, but I remember I never reason, like Mary Lou said, for us missing church was illness, and you could count that we were really sick. Never once did I hear you complain about having to do anything in the church. And you've done everything from preaching to being the janitor. I can remember about every Saturday of my life was spent at this old church over on 5th Street in St. Denis, cleaning. I don't know how much cleaning we did, but I know Mother and Dad did. Never heard you once say anything bad against the church, or against the preacher, or against anyone in the church. Your solution to any problem was prayer and fasting. If there was a problem, you kept it from us children, and I appreciate that. And I've learned from your example that when there is a problem, prayer and fasting are the solution. Thank you, Mom and Dad, for giving me a heritage that is priceless. Thank you for all the things that you've done for me. Every summer of our life was spent at Big Camp. And with 4 children, we were able to, we couldn't afford to eat in the dining hall, so some of us kids, when we got big enough, would work for our meals. My mom and dad would always set up the coal and stove, and we never knew the difference. We always had a good time and had fun. And I thank you for that heritage, that Christian heritage that I learned at camp. I thank you for the sacrifice that you made to give me piano lessons. And I thank you for all the times you gave me a choice of washing dishes or practicing. I pray that I, as a mother, will be able to pass the faith that you've given to me to my children in the same manner. I love you. They have been wonderful, loving brother and sister. And I've asked Peggy to speak for our marriage.
Well, I'm proud to say what a great inspiration you and Jerry have been to me and how much that meant to me. I know that Mary is my favorite sister. She's grown on my house. And Jerry happens to be my favorite brother-in-law. And he must have really cared a lot of Mary, and he must have wanted to marry her very much. I remember when he would come up on the swamps in South Louisiana, he probably caught a trailways bus. He was determined to get up there. But, and he wanted to have along with her. I know that. He's not the only one that has a twin, and I have a twin brother. And he would so often ask Harold and I, my twin brother, he would say, "Don't play at Lincoln." And I couldn't understand what did he mean. And finally he sat us down and he explained to us, "Go get a bookie sitting on the side of us."
And I've asked Jean to speak for Jerry's family. And if you would come all the way up to our Well, Beth, you're not the only one she cut in 3 minutes. But when she put the little notation on my invitation, I said, "Now what does she want me to do?" Well, I said, "Anybody in my family could do a better job than I could." And I take walks at dinner time and I'd be thinking, "Now what am I going to say about you?" And I'd say, "Well, I said, no, you better not say that." It's always a pleasure for us to come up here. Me and Raymond just look forward to coming up here. They make you feel so, you're a stranger in their home one time, is all. And then after that, you're just family, and they treat you like family. Good or bad, they treat you like family. But Jerry's, I guess he's a man of his word. Back when we were in our late teens, a girl could be 18 years old and get married without her parents' consent. But he had to be 21. And he always lorded it over me because he was older than I was. And I told him, I said, "Well, you might be older than me." I said, "But I can get married and I don't have to ask Mom and Daddy." I said, "You have to." He said, "Well, I'll tell you this." He said, "I'll be 21 before I get married, so I don't have to
He was 21 in August. We were 18 he was 21 on the 13th of August. He got married in the last part of August. Now, I believe if it wouldn't have been for the 3-day waiting period, he got married on the 14th. I've always had I don't know if he felt it, but I felt a special bond to him. I don't know if Peggy felt the same way with her brother. But the one older than us was 2.5 years older, the one younger was 3.5 years younger. So we were just thrown together to play together. And I've always, but I tell you, it's this beautiful lady sitting next to him that has molded his character. I can tell you. Molded his character. They've raised 4 children that anybody would be proud to call their own. And I'll tell you, I am so proud that he's my brother. She came into our family almost 40 years ago. We loved her then. That love has just grown stronger. Whenever Carol got married, we came up here, and my oldest daughter, her husband had never met Mary. And we were on our way back to Baton Rouge, and we were talking about Mary, and he says, I'll tell you, I love that lady. And he had never met her. But it amazes me that Jerry has accomplished what he has in his life because he grew up with a complex. That complex was that he was the baby for only 51 minutes of his life. And I booted him out of my life. Love you so, John.
Yeah, Mary had no idea that all of Jerry's family were going to be here, and Juliet called me the other day and said, well, how do you want us to do this? Because I know it's a surprise, and so we worked out something so they can still just slip right in and you might know it. And they have been wonderful and loving friends and fellow church members. Well, well, the folks lived in Lake Charles, and we went back way down through there, through Kirkwood and down to Bellwood and all that way. And something went wrong with the car. I don't remember what it was. It was late. It was really bad. Well, it was in the morning, about 2 o'clock in the morning. Well, it said, well, what are we going to do? And I moved me. I said, what are we going to do? And so we thought, well, the Lord let us break down in front of the store, and there was payphone there. Even though it was late, payphone still was late. And so we said, well, we'll call Jerry. And so we did. We called Jerry at 2 o'clock in the morning. He got out of bed, brought his little gold Datsun truck down all the way down to Kirkwood and hooked that big Pontiac on it. So that's the kind of person that we're honoring today. Mary Jane has done just that great things herself. And she really does. They have been called many things, such as Cajun, little old lady, brother, sister, mama, daddy, granddaddy, grandmother, the man with the big eyes full of love, the lady with all those children. But to us, they are blessings. And I'm glad I can call them. Friendship is the highest degree of perfection in society. Friendship, like music, heard on the waters, like pines when the wind passes by, like pearls in the depth of the ocean, like stars that ignite the sky, like June and the odor of roses, like dew and the freshness of morn, like sunshine that kisseth the clover, like castles of silk on the corn, like mountains that arch the blue heavens, like clouds when the sun giveth glow, the distinguished service of war. We have so much.
Mary Jane, it's a great pleasure that I think you this distinguished service award from your church. I could add a lot to what's already been said.
That I looked after. Yeah, yeah, sure.